Hello and welcome to this episode of Happy Baking. In this episode, I am sharing a super fun cookie that is especially fun to make around the holiday season. This year, I really wanted to create cookie recipes that are fan favorites to eat, but are also still easy and fun to make. I wanted something that looked amazing, but was secretly super simple. This recipe is inspired by one of my favorite things to make around the holidays, a Yule log, which is typically a roulade or Swiss roll style of cake. But these cakes are actually pretty complicated to make. They involve several steps and a little bit of finesse, so I wanted to translate that shape and idea into an easy to make cookie. This recipe is a lot less effort than a traditional Yule log, but they are still as cute as can be. These delicious butter cookies are flavored with warm, toasty spices like cardamom, a little bit of cinnamon, and nutmeg. Plus, they have plenty of vanilla. You know that's one of my favorites. These cookies are super fun for all ages to make, and they make a great addition to a holiday cookie box and are really sweet to give as gifts. So without further ado, let's get baking. Before we start making this cookie, I want to talk about one of the spices inside of it. This recipe uses a lot of ground cardamom, and it's delicious with the cardamom that you buy already ground at the grocery store. But if you want to make it extra special, freshly toasting the cardamom makes such a huge difference, and it also makes your whole house smell amazing. It's totally worth it. To do this, I'm going to take 20 cardamom pods, 14, 15, 16, 17. The first thing I want to do is just smash them a little bit with my mortar and pestle, or you could use the bottom of a glass or even the bottom of a small skillet. All I want to do is help open up the green pod to reveal the black seeds inside. The pods can be a little bit tough on their own, so sometimes you can just pop them open and the seeds will come out, but I like to do this just to help open them up. It makes it a little bit easier. Then I'm gonna remove that outer pod from the cardamom and just discard it. We just want the seeds that are inside. All right, I've removed all the pods. I'm just gonna put these into a really small pot or skillet because we wanna toast it up and get it really nice and fragrant. The whole house smells amazing. It's very festive, if I do say so. I'm just gonna go ahead and add the toasted cardamom seeds into a mortar and pestle. You could also use a spice grinder. If you don't wanna toast and grind the spices yourself, or if you already have ground cardamom and you wanna use that, you're just gonna need about 3 grams or 1 teaspoon of cardamom. Okay, that's looking really good, nice and finely ground. It smells absolutely amazing. I'm just gonna push it aside and we can start getting the dry ingredients ready for our cookie dough. I've got some all-purpose flour. I'm gonna go ahead and add the toasted cardamom to it. I'm also gonna add a few other spices, a pinch of cinnamon, and I'm gonna add some freshly grated nutmeg, one of my other favorite spices. And we also need just a little bit of fine sea salt. I'm just gonna give those dry ingredients a quick whisk together to combine. Just wanna make sure that the spices are evenly distributed throughout. Now we can actually start the base of the cookie dough. I'm gonna add 2 sticks, which is 226 grams or 8 ounces of unsalted butter into my stand mixer fitted with the paddle attachment, along with some powdered sugar. I'm gonna cream this mixture on medium speed until it is light and fluffy, 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, this mixture is looking super nice, light, fluffy. Just gonna give the bowl a good scrape on the sides and all the way down to the bottom before I keep going. Next, I'm going to add 1 large egg. Mix it in until it's well incorporated, and I'm gonna wanna scrape the bowl again just to make sure that there's nothing hiding in the base of the bowl. Okay, I'm just giving it a good scrape. That egg has been fully incorporated. Now it's time to add a little bit of vanilla. I'm using vanilla bean paste here, but vanilla extract would work too. I listed options for both in the recipe. We're already almost done with these cookies. That's how quick and simple they come together. I'm going to add all of the dry ingredients all at once, and we're just gonna mix on low speed until a smooth dough forms. Scrape the bowl as needed just to make sure everything is evenly combined. We've got our delicious dough. Now we just need to divide it into 6 even pieces before we can shape it. I usually do this by weight. I weigh the entire dough and divide it by 6. That's the number of portions that we'll need. But I did also provide a guide weight in the recipe if you don't want to mess with that math. Now let's dive into shaping our Yule log cookies. I'm gonna work with 1 piece of dough at a time, and I'll start by rolling it into a long rope, or log, obviously, because we're making Yule logs. When I was formulating this recipe, I really wanted just a delicious butter cookie that was easy to make, that you could flavor with festive things like spices that would make your house smell great around the holidays. But most importantly, I wanted a dough that was easy to shape. I think a lot of times at the holidays, we have lots of fancy recipes that include things like cutout cookies that require a lot of decoration, but I really wanted this dough to be similar in texture to Play-Doh so that kids could really help shape these cookies. It's really easy to work with, and it's still a pretty quick and easy cookie overall, but it looks so cute when it's all done. Okay, I wanna roll it out into a rope about 21 inches or 53 centimeters long. Look at that, I got it just right on the very first try. It's almost like I've done this before. Okay, now I wanna cut the cookies into 3-inch long pieces. And what I usually do is I just cut the first one, and then I say goodbye to the ruler, and I just use that piece to cut the remaining pieces. Perfect. And now we kind of have all these little sticks, and we need to turn them into logs. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the ends off on a bias, and I don't need to cut off very much of the ends, just a little bit, but that's the first thing we can do to make these look more log-like, is just cutting them at an angle like that. And then I'll do the same to the other end. And then we're left with these 2 little dough pieces, and I'm just gonna dip my finger in a little bit of water, and I'm gonna use these pieces to become kind of like the knobs on the log. And you know how logs often look kind of naughty. Not naughty, not like the naughty list, but like they have knots on the log. And then we end up with this little log. It'll look even more like a log after we dust it with some snow, AKA some powdered sugar after baking. But for now, I'm just gonna keep shaping our little cookies like this. Now I've shaped a bunch of the logs. I've placed them kind of staggered on a baking sheet. You just wanna leave about 2 inches or 5 centimeters of space around them. You can kind of stagger the cookies to help encourage even baking. But don't worry, these cookies don't spread too much. We just mostly want there to be some nice circulation in the oven so that they brown and bake evenly. I like to bake 2 trays of cookies at a time, so I put my oven racks in the upper and lower thirds of the oven before preheating it. But if you only have 1 baking sheet or a finicky oven, you can always put your oven rack right in the center and just bake 1 tray at a time. These cookies bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for 15 to 18 minutes until the edges at the base are just barely golden brown. If you're baking 2 trays at a time like me, I like to rotate the baking sheets halfway through baking just to make sure they bake evenly. Okay, let's toss these in the oven. While the cookies bake, we're going to prepare sort of a finishing sugar to put on while the cookies are still warm. It's just powdered sugar and some more ground cardamom. Again, I like toasting that cardamom fresh and grinding it myself, but you can always use ground cardamom that you buy in the store. I'm just gonna sift the powdered sugar and cardamom together, and then when the cookies come out, we will sift this mixture onto each cookie. It basically makes the logs look like they're snow covered, and it adds another burst of that delicious cardamom flavor. This is a really nice flexible cookie, by the way, because it's such a simple butter cookie recipe. You can make the cookie dough in advance and freeze it. If you do freeze it, just be sure to thaw it in the refrigerator overnight or let it come to room temperature before you start working with it. And the cookies themselves keep really well too. They'll stay in an airtight container and keep their texture for up to 2 weeks. It's really important that we put this powdered sugar on the cookies while they're still warm, because that's going to help that powdered sugar stick to the cookie. So if you wait too long and the cookies cool and you dust them with powdered sugar, you'll still get a nice sugary coating, but it's one that's going to come off kind of as you eat it. But if we apply it while it's warm, it'll get a nice coating and it's gonna cling to the cookies, even after we store them in an airtight container or put them on a serving platter. Look how cute our finished Yule logs turned out. I am just so in love with these cookies. They're adorable. The house smells absolutely incredible from making them. And best of all, they were still a really quick and easy cookie for how amazing they look. I'm gonna take a quick bite. I can't wait any longer. They're so buttery, warm, toasty. So much flavor for such a little cookie, just like, Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Happy Baking. As always, the recipe I made in this video is linked in the video description below. If this episode inspires you to get baking, please let me know in the comments or use #HappyBaking on social media. I love to see what you're making in your kitchens. I'm always baking up new things here on my YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe to Happy Baking so you never miss a recipe. Until next time, wishing you happy holidays and happy baking.